Peoria Heights. No matter how dreary outside, it's another terrific day here at Tower Talk, but when is it not? We're filming today from a new location, the Centennial Building, and with that fresh start, we're also introducing a fresh face. Our guest today is Beth Khazzam, member of the Village Board, the Peoria Heights Village Board, elected in 2019, so one of the newbies.
That's right.
So, welcome, Beth.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Good. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, what you've done leading up to this point in your life.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that I'm a mother of 3 and I have a wonderful husband as well. I'm a resident of Peoria Heights, of course. I'm a resident of Peoria my entire life, as were my parents as well, and the parents before them from the surrounding areas. But today I live in Peoria Heights with my 3 children and my husband. Before I really became engaged with Peoria Heights Zoning Board and now as a trustee, I was involved and continue to be involved in the Boys and Girls Club of Peoria, our local church, which is First Federated Church. I was a school board member of Peoria Academy. I'm part-time now, an interior designer, and my husband and I are very active in a philanthropy that he started called APSCO.
Okay, good.
And then I think probably the thing that really set me up or has given me the biggest education for participating in the village is our experience with Junction City. My husband and I bought Junction City in 2005 or 2006, if I'm remembering correctly, and it was about 14 acres of what I think would be considered as a blighted area, unfortunately. And in 12 years, we turned it around. It was kind of a baptism by fire experience for sure.
You guys did an incredible job there, no question about it.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Baptism by fire in the sense that neither he nor I had really had a lot of experience in that realm, in that field, but we loved every minute of it. We were the #1 center in Central Illinois in the end for female-owned businesses. We really promoted small businesses, which I think is important in this ever-changing world of Amazon, and minority-owned businesses as well. So I think everything that we went through in that exercise or that project has certainly helped me, do what I do today.
Sure. So you've lived all over the world. So when did you move back to Central Illinois, and then specifically to the Heights, and what prompted that? Why the Heights over any other place you could have lived in this area?
Yeah, so I really left the community as a 17-year-old girl going away to college. I went to Boston University, which is where my husband and I met. And then we moved from there. We lived in Italy for a little while. I moved to Chicago. We moved to Chicago and then to Spain for 11 years. And we moved back. He was having a change of career, and at that time, our oldest son was 12 years old, and I thought, if we don't come back to the United States, we're never coming back. So I really kind of encouraged our family to move back home, not at the time necessarily to Peoria. We really thought we would be somewhere else in the United States. But we had a wonderful, well, first of all, I was pregnant at the time with our 3rd son. And we had an opportunity my husband was working at RLI, and so we loved that. And we chose the Heights primarily because of its walkability. And it seemed like a city within a larger community to us, and we had experienced that living in Chicago and Spain and Barcelona, so that was really appealing to us.
So what prompted your interest in public service?
I think that we were raised with a sense of citizenship in our family. I think that we are interested in understanding our community, and so it just carries through with all of my siblings.
Sure. Okay. So what community issues are the most interest to you?
I think that that's a really hard question to answer. I think that they're all very important. So maybe that's a cop-out answer, but the way I think of it is, and particularly as I continue, I've only been in this position for 9 months, but as I continue, you really see the whole community as a symphony. So you can't just have the percussion, or you can't just have the strings. You need economic development, and you need the arts, and you need the education component with the schools. So it's all very, very important. I think from a personal standpoint, that education is critical for me. I think we need a very strong school system, and fortunately we have a great lower school and high school in our community, District 325, headed by Dr. Heath, who's a wonderful leader. And as long as we are focused, giving the right proportion of focus on that, we will have families living in our community for a long time.
So you mentioned that you've been on the board just 9 months. I'm curious, I believe this is your first stab at elective office, right? So I'm curious, what has surprised you about the job? What didn't you anticipate?
What has surprised me about the job, honestly, is actually how much I would really enjoy it. I love it. I think that says a lot, actually, about our leadership. We're very fortunate to have a strong mayor with a tremendous amount of experience behind him. He's 16 years, I think, on the county board. I don't want to quote his resume, but I think that's what I understand. And then, of course, in Chief Sutton, we also have fantastic leadership. That's made my job as a trustee all that much easier because they're very supportive. They really are available for any questions. They're working all the time. It's amazing that Mayor Phelan has another job in addition to being the mayor of Peoria Heights. So that's been fantastic. I love it. It's been great.
I'm not sure people appreciate, the time commitment that's involved in public service. So how many hours do you think you spend on a typical week just on village board business?
I was thinking about that earlier. It's really difficult to quantify an actual hour time. I think about it daily. I'm in the office really often, and I think, and this is actually how it was with Junction City as well, it's in your mind all the time. So you may not be doing an interview or in Springfield or in Village Hall, but you are attending meetings, you're attending ribbon cuttings. It's quite a commitment.
Yeah, I spent a career in the newspaper business, and it was the same way. All the way up to the deadline, I would go over it and over it in my mind. You could never quite let it rest.
Yeah, you cannot let it rest. And I think that that's actually going back to one of your previous questions about getting involved and what's different. It really puts the interests of the community in the forefront of your mind.
Sure. So what factors drive your decision making? What questions need to be answered as you approach any specific issue?
I think that the questions, what I would say about that is when it comes to decision making, I think about how will it affect whatever decision or whatever we're taking, in a meeting, all of our residents for the long term. So we really need to consider everyone's needs, which seems really monumental to do because each one of us lives in our own kind of identity cocoon. I know, and even more so now than ever before with the internet, and we kind of don't have to leave our houses, and many of us work from home, but you really need to take into consideration everyone's needs, and
that's hard because how do you gauge that? How do you know what the majority wants, right?
It's true.
Not everybody emails you or calls you, right? So you get a sliver of the community and what their sentiment is, but the community at large, how do you determine?
And to your point, I think that oftentimes when you do hear from residents, it's in a not so positive way because that's what's really motivated them to speak up. I think that one of the things that we've done that the mayor has encouraged are these community outreach meetings that we've had and invited people. We've had 3 so far in 2019, and I think we'll continue them throughout the spring, where you can come and just really listen or talk about any issues that you might have.
In fact, next month we're going to have coffee with the mayor in this very building, so that'll be good.
Perfect.
No, that's right. The town halls have been great, and Mike is very transparent, and I think the village of Peoria Heights is very transparent in terms of what they're trying to do for the community.
I agree with that. Very transparent. And also, I would say that I'm not a big technophile. Like, I'm not a big Facebooker or Instagrammer. It's really important to meet people face to face to understand where they're coming from. I think, that's really very something I'd like to say.
So tell me what advice you would give someone contemplating a run for elective office, especially for the first time.
Do it.
Sure,
I say do it because each one of us really has more to offer than we think we do, including myself. I mean, honestly, when I started on this journey, there was a little bit of naivete to it. I didn't really understand exactly what it would take, and I didn't think I had that much to offer. I've never been in this realm before, but my very favorite thing about this job so far has been going door to door.
Yeah, really?
I loved it. Yeah, I
Interesting.
really loved it.
Yeah.
We hit a lot of houses. My children went with me, my husband went with me,
Yeah.
and it was so much fun getting to know my neighbors.
Yeah. I used to do endorsements for the Journal-Star, and it always struck me. I always thought it took great courage to run for public office and sort of expose yourself to,
It does.
it can be a rough and tumble business.
Sure.
Yeah, so, yeah. So what most excites you about Peoria Heights' future moving forward?
Well, what most excites me about Peoria Heights moving forward is that I really see that our community can be an example to other small communities in Illinois. We're already seeing it. There's so much energy in the Heights. Certainly it was happening before Mr. Blickenstaff came on the scene, but it continues to happen today and, mushroom. You see it in the interest of the governor coming. He's been here twice. We have amazing, this grant that we won, or we not won, but we were awarded for Galena Road.
Yeah.
And it's just really, I see it when we go to Springfield. I mean, people are talking about what's happening here. So we need to be good stewards of that. And I think it really is a motivator. It's a driving force behind what we do.
So finish this sentence for me. 3 years from today, maybe more, run for re-election, who knows? My tenure on the Heights Village Board will have been a success if...
That's really the hardest question, because I'm not thinking about 3 years from now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about tomorrow and today.
Yeah.
But I think that it will have been a success if we kind of start with an organized plan in a formulated way, and we follow that plan, change it as it needs to be changed, and we execute what we're supposed to do while taking into consideration people's needs.
Sure.
I think one of the things that's the most difficult is change for residents, but we can't be afraid of change. We need to identify what our values are, and then we need to accept positive change to not just be sustainable, but to grow.
Sure.
And so if we've done that, that would make me really happy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that are happening in the Heights right now are really transformational. Some people
It makes people
requires
nervous.
adaptation, right? And so, yeah. So anyway, Beth, thank you. This has been really great.
Thank you so much.
That wraps things up for us today. So long. We'll see you in the Heights. And remember to tune in to the next installment of Tower Talk.